Hope everyone's having a great week. And even for those who are having a tough week or rough time, I hope you're getting through, being very patient, full of faith, knowing that this situation is definitely temporary. Whatever it is that you're feeling at this point, once again, I hope it's something that you know that is temporary, because this is not your final destination. This is just a season that you're in that may not be going well, but eventually you will find a way out of it. Eventually, you're going to feel good again about you. The situation will be gone. All you got to do is push through. So for today, episode 59, what we do on a weekly basis, we connect and we discuss multiple topics. You name it. We've been discussing various topics. We've been receiving testimonies from people on the live itself. We've been receiving DMs, comments, email at times regarding the impact, regarding the results of the discussions that have taken place on our platform. We are on every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, West Coast. Pastor Carlos and I are on a weekly basis, just waiting for Pastor Carlos to get connected with us. And I see he joined now, giving it a few minutes for others to join. And I hope everyone's looking forward to today's discussion. All right, Pastor Carlos sent the request. Pastor Carlos, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's good, little bro? How are you doing?
Good, man. How you feeling? All right?
Feeling all right, little bro. Feeling all right.
Good, man. Good.
Make sure. I think we're good here on Facebook and
We're good on
YouTube as
Facebook?
well. Yep, we're good on Facebook and YouTube. So it's a blessing to have you guys connected with us on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Big shout outs. Big shout outs to everyone who's watching us on YouTube and Facebook. Appreciate the fact that you join us on a weekly basis. For those who are watching us, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for those who are sharing our videos, whether it's directly through Instagram when we're on the live or on YouTube. All the episodes that we have there, we are up to 59. So I know there's been people sharing our content, which is great. You never know who needs to hear a good message. Please make sure to share. On the bottom right corner, you have the paper plane option where you're able to share this live right now taking place. This live, you're able to share it via DM. You also have the option to share it through text messaging. Email, I believe, you get the option to email it. Just send it out, because you never know who needs to hear a good message. You never know who's going through rough times and need to find a way out. And, by having these discussions, these conversations, could be the simple solution to a problem. So please, and thanking everyone once again for sharing. For those who want to go ahead and, drop a comment, a question, but they want to keep it anonymous, you have the option on the bottom right corner, the bubble with the question mark. Feel free to drop your statements or questions, and we'll be more than happy to read it out loud or to give the best advice or answer possible while keeping it anonymous. For anyone who wants to join the live because they want to put out their testimony, anything they want to go ahead and add to the topic, anything believe it or not, it can be something off topic. And if you just want to put it out because it's something that you want to discuss, something that you need an answer to, something that you need to find a solution for, feel free to do so as well. You have the option on the bottom to request to be on the live. Anything you want to go ahead and say, Pastor Carlos, before we get started?
No, little bro. I think you hit everything right where it needs to be. Again, don't hold back. If you do have a testimony or anything like that, don't hold back on sharing it it's always good for people to hear what the Lord is doing, in your lives. It really helps to build people up. Sometimes your testimony is the resurrection that somebody else needs. It's the hope that they can have that, hey, my turn is coming. My turn is coming, especially if they happen to have been along with your journey, which some people have heard of some of the things that some others have shared over the last few months or over the last year. So that really helps to build up faith, and that's what it's about. It's building up the faith of others, and believe me, it goes a long way. So don't think that you're exempt from sharing. That really goes much further than what you can imagine.
That's right.
Yeah, it looks good on both ends here. We are
It looks
good to
good on
go.
both? Okay. So we're looking good. So welcome everyone to episode 59. Today, I really, what came to mind this week wasn't even today. This week, I've just been thinking about how many of us have gone through multiple situations, or how many of us are going through a situation or multiple situations, and it's really overwhelming, especially with the times that we're living in. Right, we're living in crazy times. At the same time, crazy and interesting, right? Because there's a lot of things that we've been experiencing. There's a lot of things that we've been coming across, whether it's internet news that didn't exist back then. A lot of information has been traveling, you know, because of thank God for technology. But, you know, it's been interesting. The more that we go through, the more we experience, the more we can actually see what takes place in the world, right? We see it through behavior, we see it through how people respond um, to specific situations, how they respond depending on their emotions, depending on their trauma, their experiences, what they've been through, right? We see a little bit of everything in everyone. And just to start off, no one is perfect. Not you, not I. We might have been in similar situations, maybe different situations. Try not to judge the next person. Try not to judge their decision. Try not to judge their behavior, the way that they think, because there's a reason why they think a certain way. There's a reason why they're going through that situation. There's a reason for everything in our life. I know that there's many reasons why I've gone through multiple situations, right? Um, Whether it's not my fault or another person's fault, it doesn't matter. It's still me. It's still me going through it. I'm still in that situation. I have to get myself out of it, right? Um, so with that said, I'm sure there's people out there going through it. Um, as mentioned earlier today when I started the live, all this is temporary. There's a lot of situations, there's many times that we react a certain way because we think this is it. And of course, it's really uncomfortable when you're in a situation that gets you super uncomfortable. It gets you to overreact. It gets you to not think straight, right? It gets you full of cloudy thoughts, disturbing thoughts. For some, it may be suicidal because of how much pressure they've been uh, taken in, or because of how much they've been holding in. And because of many situations that we go through, because of what we've been holding in, what we continue to go through, it tends to develop conditions, right? And these conditions sometimes um, won't let us think straight. You know what I mean? So these conditions, they seem like they're gonna last a while because of how you're currently feeling, and all we want to do is experience happiness, right? We want joy, harmony, but we also have to understand that these are the moments that we need uh, to get really uncomfortable. We need these experiences, the most uncomfortable ones, the most disturbing ones, because it's actually what builds us. It's actually what helps us grow. It helps us experience. It helps us gain wisdom. It helps us help ourselves to help the next, if that makes any sense. So by looking at it that way, now we're speaking on perspective, right? Perspective is how you see things, how you see your life, how you see your situation. How are you going to react to it, right? Based on how you're seeing it. Um, and I wish there's many things that I've learned that I would have learned in the past that I know today, because I feel like many situations would have been totally different. A lot of relationships would have been totally different. Um, in and out of intimacy, you know what I mean? Like even friendship, just relationship in general. That could be with a friend, family member. You know, things would have gone so different. Um, at your job, your workplace. You know, maybe you overreacted with a colleague, a coworker, your boss, because you let your emotions take over you. But again, that's all lessons. These are all lessons. If you're going through it currently, it's temporary. You know what I mean? You have time to think it through. You don't have to respond immediately. You don't have to overreact. Give yourself time to feel. Give yourself time to think. Give yourself time to respond to what you're going through. Again, this is generally speaking, in general. Give yourself time. Give yourself time to understand. Give yourself time to develop, to grow. Just give yourself time in general. By you giving yourself time, you're also building faith. You're taking time to know you. You're taking time to know the situation you're in. You're taking time to know how you're going to react or behave in this current situation or in this season that you're in. And what you don't know is, which I know a lot of people, and it's okay because I've been, what I'm about to say, I've been there, where don't be ashamed to seek help, to find someone to talk to, someone that might have gone through a situation that you're in, or a situation that you've been through, or through those feelings that you're currently feeling right now, those emotions, because you never know who can give you clarity, who can help you out of your situation, who can help you solve the problems that you're experiencing. It's very important to have these discussions and never be ashamed. And I know that some of us till this day feel ashamed because of, oh, you know, I am 30 something years old. I'm 40 something years old. I should have known better. You know, I shouldn't be going through this at this age. And I'm gonna be honest, like issues have no age. There's issues that 20-year-olds have today that a 30-year-old went through it. You know, we all have different time frames, is what I'm trying to say. It's never gonna, you're not gonna have a perfect life. And if you do consider your life to be perfect, that will be shattered sooner or later. It will be shattered, but you have to know how to handle those moments. How to handle those moments. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. Nothing is ever going to go smooth. And if it does go smooth, just be well prepared for what's coming ahead. That doesn't mean that you're going to be thinking negative. That doesn't mean that you know, when things are great, you're just going to be waiting on the worst part. Like, you know, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? This is too good to be true. Never tell yourself this is too good to be true, right? That thought is always going to come across. It's always going to come across your mind. But that's when you have to just stop it there and don't process that. Process the fact that this is great what I'm feeling, but you know what? Let me just get well prepared in case something goes wrong, right? What do you usually do whenever you prepare yourself? There's people out there um, thinking about emergency funds in case, you know, things don't go so well at work, maybe in case they get laid off, fired, whatever the case is. And I think it's the right thing to do, right? Prepare an emergency fund. Um, Something that I've been thinking about lately. You know, emergency fund sounds harsh, right? Because you're like, you know, you're preparing for the worst. So that means that you have the worst in mind. And, you know, I just can't stop thinking about it. So how can life be great? How can I feel happy all the time? Because I know my friend is going through it right now. That could be me. You know, am I going to go through that eventually? Um, and just remember that whatever we put our focus on is where we're going to be heading towards, right? So no matter how bad your situation is, no matter how bad this season is right now, just know that you're going to have a better season, and you're capable of having better seasons. And all this bad season is doing is preparing you for the better seasons. That's all it is. And every single time you overcome a bad season, you will have a great one. But once you're in that great season, cherish. You have to be extremely grateful, be thankful. If you ever step into a bad season again, always look at it as, where's the lesson here? Instead of expecting the worst, always think about the best. Because even in your bad season, there's a whole bunch of lessons. There's going to be a lot of lessons, a lot of problem solving. There's going to be so much that you're going to gain from that bad season that all it's going to do is prepare you for the next stage of your life. That's all that's going to happen. You're going to look back at this moment and you're going to tell yourself, you're going to laugh at it. You're going to be like, wow, I can't believe that I thought that was my life. And look at me today. Wow, I didn't think that I was going to heal from what I felt, when that person broke my heart. Right? Some people are the ones breaking the hearts out here, right? We've all been there. We've all been there. It might have been because of immaturity. It might have been because of whatever. It's different for everyone. But the point is, you can't dwell. You can't stay there to know how to apologize. You have to always keep in mind that it's about moving forward. Moving forward. Make amends and move forward. Continue to grow. Help those around you grow with you. As you're moving forward, take people with you. And those who belong by your side are going to stick by you. Those who don't belong by you, they're just going to fall right out of the circle. And no offense, whatever the case is, whatever the reason is, only they would know unless they present it to you. And not everyone's going to come straight forward. Not everyone's going to be open. Not everyone's going to be so supportive. Not everyone's going to be agreeing to your vision. They're not going to agree on that journey that you're taking. There's a lot of people out here who are laughing at you, but there are others who are looking up to you. And you're always going to go through this, no matter what. Again, life isn't perfect. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. Everyone has their own little world. Everyone has their own little world in their mind. And you have to understand that you have your world. And you're basically bringing a piece of whenever you're expressing yourself, whenever you put your mind out, whenever you speak with no shame, with no fear, you're letting people know what you have up here. You're letting people know what's possible out there. You're letting people know what your intent is, what your intentions are for this world, for others. See, Pastor Carlos and I, when we started this platform, by now you should be able to tell, for those who have been with us on a weekly basis, you should already know the heart that we have, the mindset that we have, our perspective, and the influence that we're trying to spread. What we're trying to do to others, what we're trying to help others avoid, how we're trying to build other people, how we're trying to get so much done that has to do with positivity, to help you eliminate anything negative in your life, to help you move forward. Now, you may consider us leaders, right? There are other people who may not. But whatever the case is, that's not our purpose. We're not here giving each other titles. We're here leading the way to lead you into peace, into faith, into happiness, joy. Now, there's going to be times where you're going to get stuck on misery. You're going to get stuck with depression, stuck with anxiety. But we're here to shed the light. We're here to pull you out of it, to show you a way out. We're here to tell you that wherever you feel like you're stuck, it's not where you belong. If you feel like you can't overcome an obstacle, we're here to support each other to overcome that obstacle. With that said, your obstacle is our obstacle. Plain and simple. There's nothing selfish about our platform. Because once again, we've been through it. We haven't been through it all, but whatever we go through, whatever we've been through, we've been putting it in our content. And the intent is to help. The same way, again, because we're not gurus here, whenever we have people get on, our viewers, to express themselves, put out a testimony, we too learn from them. We learn so much from them, because I can say, if I hear from someone, if I hear a story, I can easily say, oh man, I went through that. Oh, you know what? I haven't gone through that. It could be totally different. I haven't gone through that, but I'll keep that in mind. You know, maybe this is a person that I can reach out to ask for advice, to seek help. How did they overcome? How did they do it? Prayers, therapists. What was it? Was it a book they read? Was it a family member, a friend who went through it and they got them out of it? Whatever the case is, we're here to support each other. And if you feel like you don't have the right people in your contacts, then you have to reevaluate those so-called friends. Reevaluate the environment that you set yourself in. Reevaluate those activities or hobbies, whatever you got going, because we should be extremely stable mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. We should have contacts where they can at least help in one or multiple areas in our lives, and vice versa. Because we're not here to waste anyone's time, and we wouldn't want anyone to waste our time, right? And there's been many times in the past where we've wasted people's time or they wasted ours, but we learned. And this is how we know the difference between good and bad. This is how we know the difference between needs and wants. This is how we know the difference between good intention and bad intention. This is how we know differences. This is how we know what's best for us. And like I've mentioned in multiple episodes, look at your situation like a chapter in your book, in your story. And always look forward to the next chapter. Never let yourself dwell or be stuck in one chapter, because there's going to be so many after that. We've read multiple books where there's been X amount of chapters. There's books that have 15. There's books that have 20. There's books that only have 5. There's books that has 60 something. Only God knows our final chapter. May He bless us with an extreme amount of chapters. 90 something, 104, whatever that is. But what are we doing with those chapters? What are we doing with ourselves to make those chapters count? Are you doing enough to keep anyone who learns about your story interested? Are you doing enough to help that person that's reading your story or going along with your story able to develop, to grow from it? How can they benefit from your story? How can other people benefit? Whatever season you're in now, just continue to work on you. Again, you're not perfect. There's never going to be a perfect season. There's going to be errors, mistakes, but there are ways to fix them. Whether it's through apologies, forgiveness, awareness, there's always going to be a way to turn a bad situation into a great situation. So just know if you're in a bad season or bad situation, focus on turning it into a great one. What is it that you can learn from it, and what can others learn from it? Because we all see what's happening in this world, right? We see the misery, we see the violence. And how do you think violence occurs? There's people that experience it. So now they project it on others. Now they bring it on others. People behave and do based on what they've seen, what they've been through in their upbringing, growing up. That can be direct or indirect. That can be through family, households. That can be through movies. There's a lot of things that take place today because of music. We brought this up multiple times. Simply just music, which we're going to get much deeper into that whenever we set up an episode specifically for it, which, you know, we're working on it. But there's multiple sources that can influence you. And this is something that we have to be aware of. Understanding life, understanding how our mind works, understanding human behavior, and understanding why people are the way that they are, why you were the way that you were, why you are the way that you are today. And I remember, Big Bro, we've discussed empathy and sympathy in the past multiple times, right? There was one episode specifically that we spoke on it. And that goes a long way. That goes a long way. Something that I thought about last week was we've experienced unfair moments in school for those who might have experienced bullying, anyone who may have gone through domestic violence, anyone who may have experienced severe insult, just abuse in general. That all falls under abuse to me. But having empathy would help you understand. Help you understand that current situation that you went through or currently going through. It helps you understand the other party, the other person. Most importantly, by having empathy, and, you know, Big Bro, correct me if I'm wrong, not only are you able to understand, but you're able to overcome that trauma, because it can be traumatic. Because you don't want to live with grudge. You don't want to live with anger. So by having empathy, being empathetic towards others, it helps you understand the why. It may not be fair. It may not be fair. It may not be easy, because it's not. It's definitely not easy. But at least you won't be poisoned by their behavior or their act, which is much worse, because whatever you go through with someone, we have to put a stop there. We can't cause someone else a problem because of what you've been through. And you deserve peace. You deserve comfort. You deserve happiness. You deserve joy. You deserve all that good stuff. So why would you want to take those dark moments with you when you can leave it behind? You won't forget, you know. There's many situations that You may not forget. You're not going to forget it, but at least you'll know how to cope with it. You know how to control your emotions. You'll know how to shift your perspective to the point that no matter what negative thought crosses your mind, you're able to kill it right there and then. You're able to eliminate it. It's the only way. How many times, I mean, I feel like everyone, I can even, speak for myself, of course, but I'm sure everyone, there's no way to avoid negative thoughts. There's no way to avoid it. There's going to be times when it's going to come across, but it's how you look at it. It's how you manage that thought. It's how you replace it with another thought. And this is something that we go through on a daily basis. This is why we have good days and bad days. But notice how there's people that know how to manage, how to cope, to the point where no matter what they're feeling inside, they won't project it on others. It's not that they're pretending like it's all gravy, like it's all good. It's not that they're pretending, even though you have people out there pretending, and it makes the situation much worse. But for those who know how to manage and cope, this is how you know they have good head on their shoulder. This is how you know that they've overcome many battles. But for those who pretend, all they're doing is stunning their growth and causing a delay to peace, a delay to that blessing. That's all they're doing by pretending. What we have to do is face our fears, face those thoughts, face that situation that you went through or are currently going through, because there's something much better on the other side. There's a lot of repair, a lot of healing, a lot of replacements. You have to replace those bad thoughts with good ones. You have to repair, you have to heal the damage that's been done, because you're not out here on this earth to destroy the next person. You're here to help heal. Help those who have been destroyed, who have been hurt. I've been hurt many times. And that could be, that involves other people, that involves the workplace, that involves job search, that involves opportunity in general. But thank God I got to figure it out. I got a better understanding. I got to overcome those battles. I got to learn where I belong and where I don't. I got to learn that sometimes we go for things that's really not for us. It's really not for us. And we tend to force it and focus on the wrong things, which is why most of us have been in multiple situations and in the state that we are in most likely today. But once again, it's never too late to turn things around, to make things better, to learn from it. Everything we've gone through, our lessons. Moving forward, we will need those lessons in order to deal with the next obstacle. And just remember, if life was easy, then how can we put value into the blessings that we received today? How can we be grateful and thankful for all that's been happening in our life? There's people out here who are really depending on others or things in order to get through. And right before I hand it over to you, big bro. Aside from the man above, you got to pray heavy. But everyone got to face a mirror. Just stand in front of a mirror and just know that aside from God, you are going to turn your life around. You are going to have to depend on you to do it. Because once again, there's a lot of people out here depending on people and things that's not doing them any good. And it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Because again, this that you're going through is temporary. And it's time. It's time to make that change. And it's never too late, no matter what. For as long as we're alive, we're going through obstacles. We're going through challenges. Because this is how we build. This is how we develop. So just know you're going to go through it. But it's how you look at it and how you handle it. That's going to determine your next season. I'll hand it over to you, big bro.
No, there's a lot of stuff, man, that you were saying, and it really gave me, a lot to go ahead and unpack. It's funny because one thing that you said took me to a certain section of the Bible, First Thessalonians 5, and it was funny because I went there for one particular verse, which is where I'm going to start. But as you were talking, there was a lot that I continued to kind of get. Right? It's like everything that you were hitting went along with what I was looking at here. The first thing is like my starting point, right? You mentioned about essentially like, going ahead and building each other up, everybody being there to help people get through things. And there's a verse for that. It says, so encourage each other and build each other up, right? So that's something that it's like we're supposed to be doing that, because this thing that this life that we're living is not easy. People stumble. It's something that people do. They stumble because things are difficult. It's not meant to be easy. There are constant attacks, especially when you're trying to live right, especially when you're trying to do what the Lord is calling you to do. You are going to have constant attacks, and that's really important, because in First Thessalonians 5:11 says, so encourage each other up and build each other up, right? And which in this church's case, it says just as you are already doing. So that's really important for us to know. That's something that we should be doing. We're supposed to be doing. We should be building each other up. There are going to be times, like you said, because we have highs and lows. There's going to be times in which, it's my season where, we talked about this a few weeks ago. There's a season for this. There's a season for that, right? There's a season to live, a season to die, a season for this. It's always a positive and a negative, at least how we can perceive it, right? So that means that in that moment in which you might perceive this bad moment to not be something that it's all bad. I don't see any joy in it. And you're really stumbling as a result. That should be a moment in which we should be here to be able to encourage you, because I'm not having as much difficulty, or even in moments of difficulty, if both of y'all are undergoing difficulty, you should be able to lift each other up. Because if not, if you don't have each other to lift up, how are you going to expect that the person's going to get through it? You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we see, and it's right there biblical. But at the same time, it's interesting because you end up bringing the point of like thoughts, right? When you mention the word thought, what's the very first thing what's the very first part of the body that you think of? It's your head, right? Because the thoughts go through your mind, right? And again, we go into the armor of God that God tells us to put us on. You have the helmet of salvation. Why? Because the enemy is going to constantly attack. So you are constantly going to receive attacks. They're going to happen. He's going to try to get you through thoughts, right? So, and the word says, and there was a lot of light and darkness in this that you were even talking about. And the word says, but let us who live in the light be clear-headed, which I'm going to get to that in a moment, protected by the armor of faith and love, and wearing as our helmet the confidence of our salvation. So right there is the confidence that you're supposed to have from having your helmet. So every time that you get that thought, that negative thought that wants to come in, the enemy's thought of like, oh, this person doesn't deserve this, you don't deserve that, you deserve to be where you are, you deserve what you're getting, things are going to end up, it's not going to end well for you, or whatever negative thought you continuously find yourself being attacked in. Know that you have to have that helmet on with that confidence. That's what we're supposed to be doing, so that you're not stumbling. That's why we say it's important for you to have this armor of God on. That's important for you, especially to have that helmet of salvation on. And that's what helps you to be clear-headed. Now, I want to get back to that word clear-headed. A lot of what you said at one point reminded me of people that get to be reactionary. All these different things start to happen. So you start to let your emotions get to you, right? So because you let your emotions get to you, you start to make bad decisions. Some people make bad relationship decisions as a result. Some make bad financial decisions as a result. Some really screw up their work environment and their work situation because they get so emotional because this coworker did this, my boss did that, and they don't realize that this is a great opportunity that the Lord has you. And I want to repeat this because I think this is key for somebody. There are some people that the Lord has placed you in an amazing situation where it's like you're going to be blessed in this workplace, and then you find yourself being surprised that you're getting annoyed that the coworker is getting on your nerves and that the boss is getting at you. Why wouldn't they? Especially if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? Should it be surprising that the enemy's going to want to try to use somebody to cause you to be distressed in your work situation so you can be like, I'm out? Now, don't get me wrong. There are situations where the Lord puts on the pressure because he allows the pressure to come in. He allows things to happen because it's not the place where you need to be. But there are some people where it's like you are blessed in such an amazing situation, and you're like, but my coworker's this, and my boss is that, so I'm out. I mean, I've heard it in the past. I've heard it from people. Trust me. It's not just something that I'm making up. I've heard people in the past tell me, man, I got a new manager, and the new manager is like this, or I got this coworkers being like that, and I don't have to put up with this. I'm out. Again, that could be the Lord allowing for the pressure to come in for you to leave. The problem is when you let your emotions get the best of you, right? You start making decisions that are rash decisions. Where's your clear-headedness? Because in your clear-headedness, you should be able to go, okay, let me go to the Lord and let me start praying about this and see what it is that he wants me to do, right? When you make emotional decisions, the majority of the time, you don't even consult with the Lord to see what he wants you to do. You just make a decision. And the decision, it is what it is, right? And then later on, that's why you have people that are like, man, I don't even know why God did this to me. Well, maybe it's not that God did it to you. Maybe you did it to yourself, you know? If you got emotional about stuff and you go and you scream at your wife, your partner, whatever, that was your emotions. That wasn't, God ain't do nothing there. That was you and your emotions were not clear-headed and went off on somebody. Or you did it to your kids. Or, you know, believe me, I know from experience, you take out that loan because the enemy hits you where he knows that you can easily be attacked. And in your emotions of, what am I going to do in this situation, in that situation? Because like you said, little bro, you believe it's the end, right? Like that's the end of the situation. You don't think about how God wants to fix that situation, what the Lord wants to do in that situation. You're immediately like, how can I fix this so that this is not the end of my story, right? And you don't realize that's not the end of your story. There are numerous solutions, right? Imagine, like, I don't know if you ever had this, little bro. I remember there were stories back in the day. They were like a pick your own adventure story, right? And it would be like, you'd read the story and they'd give you like one, two, they give you like two, three, four different options. And depending on the option that you chose, they'd have you go to another page or whatever. So the story could continue different, so that the story would always change. Imagine if you were there reading that story and the very first option seemed like, oh my gosh, this thing is going to turn terrible. And you're always like, I'm always going to go with option number one. Not knowing that option number 3 was the best one, option number 5 was the best one, option number 2 was the one in this situation. You didn't sit for a minute to be like, yo, let me analyze each one of these potential answers that I'm getting here, because dependent on the answer that I'm getting, I might be able to discern that this over here, my 4th option, might be my best one. Not the first one. But some of us are like, option number 1, option number 1, option number 1. And what is option number 1? The very first thing that your emotions lead you to do, that comes up in your mind, that this is the best thing to do. And it ends up always being the worst thing to do, because you always end up going with the very first emotion that you have. So you lack clear-headedness. And in that lacking the clear-headedness, you never go and pray about it. You don't ask God for direction. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants you to lack clear-headedness, to work, so for him to work on your emotions, so that hopefully you can make decisions based on your emotions. And that's never going to end well, ever. And then when it comes to, having the empathy that you were talking about, little bro, you need to understand what people are going through. There's something that I always tell people. You can understand what somebody's going through because it will explain their actions, but it will not excuse their actions. There's a big difference between explaining an action and excusing an action. Excusing an action is like, oh, this person did wrong, but you know what? They had a tough life, or this was a tough situation. I'm gonna, I forgive them, and on top of that, they can continue to do the same thing as always. No, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. You do need to have grace for them. You do need to have empathy for them, right? You need to understand their situation and be like, it's terrible that this happened, but it doesn't excuse what you did. But at the same time, because I understand, I want better for you. So let's talk this out. Let's talk this out. It doesn't mean that I'm going to easily forget what you did, but through, with the same grace that God had to forgive you, I should be able to go ahead and forgive somebody else. I should be able to be like, you know what? Let's work on this, and that doesn't always mean that person's going to receive that. So obviously you can't force the issues. There's some that you win, some that you lose, but at least when you approach it that way, if the person doesn't want to receive it, all you do is throw your hands up and be like, I can't do nothing about that. I did what I needed to do. I forgave them for it. I wasn't going to allow it to happen again, but I was going to show, I was going to work with them because I want to build them up, even though they don't deserve it. That's called mercy. You and I don't deserve the Lord's forgiveness. It's called mercy. It's called grace. It's the same thing that we should be extending to others, but many times we don't. And even that, again, First Thessalonians 5 was hidden that, bro, because it goes, encourage those who are timid, take tender care of those who are weak, be patient with everyone. The word doesn't say to be patient with the person that you like. The word doesn't say to be patient with the person who's, always looking out for you, to be patient for the person that always calls you, the person that always texts you. It says be patient with everyone. And then it goes and says, see that no one pays back evil for evil, but always try to do good to each other and to all people. Again, you're going to have people that do evil to you, but you don't pay it back in the same way. What does that achieve? You have to think if you pay somebody back with evil and you call yourself a Christian, or you think that God wants to bless you because you do evil to somebody else, why would the Lord bless you when you're not acting like he is? And that even takes me a little bit earlier in the word, something that I didn't read earlier, where it says, for God chose to save us through our Lord Jesus Christ, not to pour his anger on us. God has every reason to not bless you, to have fire fall from the sky and burn you for it, or send you to hell, or whatever. He has every right to, because we have not been living righteously. Many of us have gone ahead and denied, the Lord. Many of us don't want to know nothing about God. Many of us don't try to do what he's calling us to do. We deserve it. But the thing is, that's not what he wants. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference between what he could do and what he wants, and what he doesn't want to pour his anger out on us. He sent he sent Jesus for that, to save us from that. So it's not something he wants to do. And then when we fast forward and we go, don't pay evil with evil. Imagine if God went and paid back the evil you do with bad things. Now, it's not to say that he would do evil to you if he were to allow that or to do it, because it's what you would deserve. But imagine if instead of learning from what he does, the way that he treats us, the grace that he's given us, the mercy that he's given us, you go and you're like, God has been good with me. God has blessed me, even though I don't deserve it. But this person over here doesn't deserve my mercy. They don't deserve my forgiveness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat them just as badly as they treated me. That means you have not learned a lesson at all. You haven't received him, because you don't have love for that person. Not understanding, like, do you realize that Jesus, that God and Jesus, being the same, have looked at your situation and been like, I know that the enemy has attacked Jay Mejia, and this is the reason why he does what he does, because he's stolen because he's afraid of lacking. He's reacted to this person this way because he's afraid that he's going to get hurt. Why would he get hurt by that person? Because the enemy influences that person. That's why. He's afraid of the attacks that he's going to receive. So that's why he's so defensive. But that's why the Lord looks at the heart. That's why the Lord looks at the person. That's why he's gone through all of this. But he's hoping that us, as disciples of him, would go and try to follow in those footsteps that he had, to be like, I know that they deserve it. I know that they deserve what they're getting. I know that they deserve for me to be angry at them and treat them unfairly and to do the same thing that they did to me. That's what they deserve. But you don't have the empathy and the understanding for the person. Why is empathy important? Because God sent Jesus, right, to be man. He made himself man. God made himself a man, right? Why? So he could go through the things that we went through. You know why? So he could have that empathy for us. That's why we need to figure out how to have empathy for others and understand it. Don't pay back evil for evil. Always try to do good to one another and to all people. In all these circumstances, bro, and everything that you go through, always be joyful. Never stop praying. Be thankful. Listen to this one, y'all, please. Be thankful in all circumstances. Not in the circumstances that make you happy. Not when you got blessed with the money. When this dough comes your way, you're happy. When you get that guap, that's when you're happy about it. When the relationship ended up the exact way you wanted. When the job gave you what you wanted. When everything in your life is going right, be thankful. No, it doesn't say that. It says be thankful in all circumstances. I equate that with the fruit of the Spirit, which we've talked about before. Joy. Joy is not the same as happiness. You know what I'm saying? Joy is not the same as happiness, because you can be in an unhappy situation, but still be joyful that the Lord is with you. I had some stuff happen recently that I'm like, yo, you know what? I could be really upset and I can go off on some people, but you know what? I didn't. You know why? I didn't. Because I knew the Lord was with me, because like a week before it happened, the Lord showed me. He was like, you're going to go through it. So even though I was like, man, the old me would have liked to punch somebody in the face, the new creation in me was like, thank you, God, because as much as this moment sucks, I rejoice because you showed me ahead of time. So because you showed me ahead of time, I know that you're with me. And if I know that you're with me and you showed me ahead of time, I know that you have complete control over absolutely everything that's going on. Doesn't mean that I was happy about it, but I had joy, and I could be thankful in that circumstance. As difficult as it was to be thankful, I could still be thankful in that circumstances. In that circumstance, the same way that it says to be thankful in all circumstances, because this is God's will for us who belong to Christ Jesus. His will for us is that we're always joyful. Again, not happy, always joyful. His will for us is that we never stop praying. His will for us is that we're thankful in all circumstances. That's what he wants. And believe me, he's going to pour out blessings like you couldn't not believe, bro. He's going to pour out blessings. And some of y'all needed to hear this tonight, because that's what's going to lead you to be clear-headed. That's what's going to lead you to encourage others. That's what's going to lead you to be patient with others, to have that confidence, right? And with this, I'm going to end, little bro. You mentioned something that triggered this, and it was a word of like laziness, or essentially like not doing what you know you need to be doing, right? Yesterday, one of my youth leaders mentioned this in our he had a question about this verse in our youth group when we had our meeting last night. And I think this one's going to speak to a lot of people. I think I mentioned this to Brother Ronnie, who might be connected right with us right now as well, so he knows what I'm talking about. There's a word that says, the lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. Another version says, lazy people take food in their hand, but they don't even lift it to their mouth. Some of y'all will receive what we're saying this evening, right? What we're saying this evening. And little bro, you hit a nail on the head. And again, First Thessalonians spoke this evening, right? And tongue twisted here tonight. It says, dear brothers and sisters, honor those who are your leaders in the Lord's work. They work hard among you and give you spiritual guidance. We don't claim to be your leaders and nothing like that. We don't claim to do that. We don't, like you said, we don't claim to be gurus. We just know what the Lord has given us. He's told us to go on this platform, do what we do. So here we are, we're working hard to give you spiritual guidance, right? We're not looking for anything in return, but we give you that guidance. Why? Because that's the food that the Lord gives you. He's giving you a solution. He's giving you something in his word. He's giving you something that he puts in our hearts as a solution for your issue. So you made the effort to come on the live, right? That's the food in your hand. You make the effort to go to church on Sunday. Maybe that's the food in your hand. Maybe you make the effort to listen to somebody's podcast. Maybe you make the effort to open your Bible and read something. That right there, that guidance that you're getting, whether it's from the Bible, whether it's from a preacher or a pastor or us here, wherever you're getting it from, that is the food in your hand. But that person is too lazy to bring it back to his mouth, to feed them, to fix the situation. So you've got the solution. You got the solution for a lot of stuff, and you can be like, I can never be happy. Yeah, you might not feel happiness in this morning, in this day, but that time is going to come where it's going to turn around and you will have happiness. But in the meantime, you can be joyful that the Lord has you in this moment, that he's giving you the solution, that this is all going to work out. You got it. But you just won't bring that food to your mouth. You just won't take that action that you need to in order to push it through. And that's where a lot of us are perishing. That's where a lot of us are falling. That's where a lot of us are dying every single day, going through the stuff, taking on everything that you're taking on, allowing the thoughts to go into your head. At the end of the day, you got the food right now telling you, yo, put on that helmet of salvation. Why? So that it can protect your thoughts, but you're not protecting your thoughts because you're not wanting to put that helmet on. You've got the solution. You just don't want to put that helmet on. How can you expect your thoughts to be protected if you're not putting the helmet on? If you're not doing what you're being advised to do? Because believe me, I know, I'm not just telling you this for your sake. Bro, how many times have we shared it? Time and time and time again. I used to have an absolutely great situation. I was going ahead and balling out and everything like that. And that did not stop me from having thoughts coming into my head that would say the bad time is coming. And you're gonna and making me panic with six figures in a bank account, making me panic, making me think like, oh, this is not gonna end well. You know what I'm saying? That didn't give me peace. You might think that these things, that there's going to be things that will give you peace, but I guarantee you, if you don't follow through with any of this stuff, you will not have peace. The enemy's always going to attack. So you got to listen to what's being said here. Even down to what you said about the emergency fund. Some people might be like, oh no, but what about the emergency funds? No, shouldn't I be living day to day and just do whatever I want? Well, if you read the word, you understand this is where you need the discernment from the Lord. What does he want you to use today? What does he want you to be a good steward of? What does he want you to store away? Y'all have to remember when Joseph was placed in Egypt, he told Pharaoh, yo, we got to store food away. What your dream means is let's go ahead and store away all this stuff for 7 years, because there's, over the 7-year period where everything is good. Why? So in the 7 years it's coming that we're going to lack stuff. There goes that number 7 again, right, little bro? In those 7 years that they're lacking, we're going to have. That was the Lord giving Joseph essentially the idea of an emergency fund. But he gave him the discernment for it. And they knew what to use over those good 7 years, and they knew what to store away for the next 7 years that were going to be terrible. He had the discernment of it. That's what we've got to do. So again, this is what happens when you're clear-headed. This is what happens when you're praying. This is what happens when you're taking that time. Some of y'all don't want to hear it. A lot of people don't. Believe me, a lot of people in the world don't want to hear it right now. But if you don't pick it up now, when worse things come, you're going to be like, man, I should have listened. Because now I'm hurting and I can't build somebody else up. And there's a lot of people following the same, train of, the same way of thinking. And they can't build you up either. And that's how people perish in difficult times. And that doesn't mean that you're going to die. That doesn't necessarily mean that. But you can choose to stray away. You can choose to not believe in the Lord. You can choose to get angry thinking that he's punishing you when you're not realizing you were given the food. You just didn't take it. You had it right here. You just had to lift it, eat it. And instead you were like, but I don't want to. Well, you pay the price for not doing it. It's sad, but it's true. This is all being said to give you guidance. This is all being said to lift you up. This is all being said to give you something better, give you hope in the future. We don't do, if we wanted something, believe me, looking up at a counter right now and being like, oh, 3 people for real, that would be like live off, done. It'd be over. But it's not about that. If Jesus gave the example of like, I'll go for the one, I'll go to save the one and leave the other 99, right? It's the same thing here. We go to do what God has called us to do. And it doesn't matter if we get 1,000 people that join Alive one day, or if it's one person. If it's even that one person that's receiving, even if it's not here in this moment, but it's a person that sees this live a year from now. We were obedient to what the Lord needed from us to do in this moment for the time in which that person needed to receive it. And all we want to do is be obedient. And I can tell you, little bro and I have been going through situations where it's like, if we weren't being obedient with what the Lord is doing, I'm not sure that he would, in his grace, he would sustain us. but we see things more clearly as a result, you know? So that's what happens as a result. So with that, I'll leave it to you, little bro.
Want to go ahead and add this. Empathy can motivate us to be good to others, as we can imagine what it would be like to be in their position and think about how we would wish to be treated. So, in other words, treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. It's something to keep in mind. Once again, if there's anyone who wants to join the live, testimony, anything you want to say on the live, please feel free to do so. Don't forget to share our video, our live video. Never know who needs to receive this message. Or once the live is over, we have the episode uploaded on YouTube, episode 59. Please make sure to send it to someone who needs this message. Send them the other episodes. You know, you never know when someone needs it, because there's a lot of people out here who needs to be saved. They need the knowledge, the awareness, the wisdom, the advices. They need it so much, because best believe there's a lot of people going through it. We've gone through it. There's a lot of people that will continue to go through it, but it's all about getting them out of it, getting them out of their situation, getting them out of that mental prison they're currently in, giving them the freedom to just be themselves, and do so much better, you know, not only for themselves, but for others as well.
And if I can share, little bro, real quick,
Yeah.
you know, the Lord showed me, and I shared with you earlier this year, the Lord showed me that, you know, we're getting to a point in which there's going to be a turnaround in a lot of people's situations. So I do know that we're going to be seeing in the live, and we're going to just be seeing people mentioning to each other, even if they don't come on the live, it's fine, as long as they're giving their testimony to other people.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
general. You know, it's not about being here on this live. If we could get on the live, dope, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if they're going out and telling their family members, if they're going out and telling their coworkers, if they're going out and telling their friends about what God is doing, that's something that's going to breathe life into people. We talked about, you know, that testimony being what helps to resurrect others, right? The faith of others. That's exactly what we're looking to have happen. So I know that this turnaround is on the verge. Like I like the Lord has shown me that that's on the verge of happening. And I think with some people, we're already kind of starting to see that happen. So, you know, it'd be awesome. Really try to receive that for yourself, because I can't wait for the day that we start to receive those testimonies here on the live, you know. And I would love for every person that watches this, or every person that's connected right now, I would love for you guys and the people that you care about, that you will share it to be part of those that are like, yo, I heard this and I did see the turnaround. And because I started to see the turnaround, I know who's in control. Again, not just in the good situations, right? Like I mentioned, the crappy situation that I had, you know, not too long ago, you know, just recently, knowing that, hey, the Lord had control of it, I was like, man, that's awesome. You know, even in this bad situation, what appears to be terrible, that was awesome. That was great. I want you guys to know, you know, when you see that turnaround, that same thing, the same thing that I can feel, that I was able to share with you, that I felt in a bad moment, or what appears to be a bad moment, what the enemy wanted to portray as a bad moment. You and I know why we see the blessing in that bad moment. You know, again, it'll be shared soon enough. But that bad moment was actually a good moment. It was setting a path, you know. So it's the same thing with you guys. I want you guys to get to the point where you receive it, and when you receive it, you're like, I know God's in control. And in the bad moment, you can be like, I'm rejoicing. And in the good moment, you can be like, yo, the turnaround that he was talking about, that the Lord showed him, it's happening. I can see it. Because that's going to help to build up your faith, and that helps to increase your measure of faith. So it's not just about resurrecting others through the testimony that you have, but it's going to increase your faith, so that if you ever go back to where you were before, you're going to be like, this is now the benchmark. I already know how far I went down, right? Support and resistance, little bro. Support and resistance. I already know how far I went down before. So I know that if he was able to push me back up, it's fine.
Through.
I'll be okay. I can break through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expectant, man. I'm really expectant, and I hope that you guys are as well, because we're getting very, very close to a season of a turnaround. We are. And I can't wait to hear testimonies of you guys, you know, talking about how you got to see that turnaround.
Amen. Amen. I'm hoping everyone received today. Hoping everyone received. I just want to give it a few minutes to see if anyone wants to go ahead and join in. Any comments they want to put out there. If you want to keep it anonymous, you have the option on the bottom right corner, bubble with the question mark. Feel free to drop a question or statement, and we'll be more than happy to read it out loud. Please share the live. The paper plane, bottom right corner, you have the option to share the live direct message. Yep, right there. DM, you have the option to share it via text message. You have the option to share it via email as well. And speaking of email and text message, please make sure to check the link in my bio. Click the link in my bio. Take a look at the links that are in there. But specifically, all the way in the bottom, you have your email, the emailing list, and SMS, text messaging list. Drop your email and drop your phone number in the SMS list, because we will be sending out notifications, especially when we transition over to YouTube, broadcasting live from YouTube, for the simple fact that for those who don't have accounts, are able to have access to YouTube with or without an account. So make sure to send your email and phone number so we can notify you. We promise not to send any spam. Let me see. Okay, Louis, what's up, Louis? I would love to see a segment about different religions and beliefs. Okay, you hear that, big bro?
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, and Jael, thanks again for your encouragement and wisdom. God bless you both. I can testify that this program has helped me on multiple occasions. Jael, thank you so much. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for always supporting us weekly, man. You're always with us, so thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that, and trust me, we appreciate you more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, to see to see the testimony what the Lord has been doing there, it's awesome.
Yeah,
it really is.
Definitely.
You know,
definitely. Just giving it a few more minutes to see if we see any other comments. Big bro, I think today's topic was more like direct, you know what I mean? Like straight to it. I've seen many videos, and it's more for my kids and the young one. Okay. And the young one. Yes, Louis. Man, your kids must be big too, man. Louis, we go way back. Way back. God bless you all, man. Giving it a few. Anything on Facebook or YouTube?
No, we're all clear here on Facebook and YouTube. All good here.
All good.
Yeah. Y'all make sure to click on Jay Mejia's fancy link. I mean, I click on that, I'm like, wow, this is fancy. I need one of those links for myself.
Yeah, a whole bunch of links. Make sure to check it out. Check it out.
Again, no spam, you know.
Yeah, it's only gonna be to notify you with anything we got going on. The lives, of course, sending out the links. That way you can go ahead and share the link with others, just to make the whole process easy. Much love, man. Much love for sure, bro. He's definitely one of the good ones. A lot of great people, man. A lot of great people in this live in the comments. So I think we're good, big bro. I think we're good, man, for episode 59 to make it.
Y'all be ready. Next
final.
Episode 60 coming up next week.
Episode 60. Yep. Episode 60. Next week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. West Coast. Don't miss out. Episode 60 next week. If you want to go ahead and get notified, on my profile, you'll see the scheduled live. Right below my profile, you'll see the scheduled live. You'll click, you have the option to get notified. You will be notified 2 days before, the day before, and the day of. That's 3 notifications you'll receive. So please make sure to check that out.
And if you're on YouTube, you can do the same. Just make sure that you that you go on to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and once you hit the subscribe button, you have a little bell icon. You do not get notified if you just hit subscribe. All subscribe does is it will put it in, like, your subscriptions page, and when you first open up YouTube, it'll show up there. But hitting the bell notification icon, that's what's going to give you the alert when we go live, or as we get things moving here pretty soon. That's going to allow you to get notified whenever we schedule that we're going to go live. So, ahead of time, we'll start programming when we do our Thursday lives, or when we, have special sessions that we have, right? So that you always know that it's going on. So if you haven't done the YouTube yet, go over there, hit the subscribe, and then go and hit the little bell notification. That'll take care of that for you.
Definitely. So once again, thank you everyone who's on with us, who joined us. Don't forget about next week for episode 60, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, West Coast. And always remember, patience is a virtue, and faith is the substance. Looking forward to seeing everyone next week.
God bless.
Take care.
See you guys.
God bless. Have a good night. Bless you, brothers, for the positive messages you guys have. Thank you, man.
Yeah, bless you, Louis.
For taking the time to always listen. Thank you for sharing with others, man. Thank you. For real. Love you, bro. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Take care. Appreciate everybody.